This week, the Dragon signing blitz continues. Welcome back to the Sports Playbook. I am Daniel, and we are Australia's weekly sports news podcast covering men's and women's sports. Although this edition is quite nasally, I still have a cold, so apologies about that. But we'll get right into your week of sport and everything that's come up. In the Commonwealth Games, Australia's medal tally continues to rise. We are over halfway through the current Commonwealth Games in Glasgow in Scotland, and this is where the current medal tally stands. Australia is leading with 35 gold medals and 80 medals overall. Coming in second place is Canada with 13 gold medals, 35 overall. England is on the podium with 10 gold medals, 43 medals overall, and host nation Scotland is sitting in fourth position. They have 7 gold medals and 15 medals in total. There's been plenty of records that have been broken over the last few days. Swimming, athletics, you name it, Australia has got its name written all over the Commonwealth Games. One thing that will be interesting is the Australian Diamonds team. They are the defending champions from 2022, and their toughest test will come tomorrow. They play South Africa at 6 a.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Saving Time. That's in the Pool A matchup. In rugby league, Laurie Daley is set to resign from New South Wales Blues head coach. Laurie Daley led the Blues to a series win in 2026. Whilst it's not been confirmed by Laurie or the Blues themselves, it appears that Laurie will step away after the series win of this year. For Laurie, he has coached the Blues to 2 series wins in 2014 and 2026. But when you look at Laurie's overall record, it doesn't quite stack up. But if you want to leave on a high, this is the perfect occasion to do so. Now, the leading contenders that have been thrown into the mix so far: Matt King, who is a New South Wales Blues assistant coach who is in the frame for the 2025 job before Laurie got it. Boyd Cordner is another contender that's in the mix. One name you will not find anywhere in the head coaching role is Andrew Johns. He's categorically ruled himself out of this gig, saying, "No, I do not want it." And there's a lot of circumstances there, especially when it comes to his Channel 9 contract and other matters outside of rugby league. So congratulations to Laurie Daley. If that was your last game as head coach, you get to go out on a high. In netball, Belinda Reynolds re-signs with the Sunshine Coast Lightning. The Sunshine Coast Lightning just announced today on Wednesday, the 29th of July, that head coach Belinda Reynolds will re-sign with the club. What's interesting here for Super Netball is only head coaches can currently sign to their clubs. This is because they sit outside the collective players bargaining agreement that's currently happening at the moment between Netball Australia and the Australian Netball Players Association. For Belinda, she's been a head coach at the Lightning since 2023. And what's interesting here is the Lightning have a great team of champions up and down the court. But when it comes to that finals period, it's that last little piece that they just can't quite click at the moment. What will be interesting here is for the Lightning, how many of their players can they actually retain through this collective players bargaining agreement that's being signed with Netball Australia and the Australian Netball Players Association. That means for Super Netball, there is now 4 coaches that have been confirmed for the 2027 season. So you can expect 4 more head coaching announcements to come in the coming weeks and months. But what will be interesting is once this collective players bargaining agreement has finally been signed off. That was this week's big stories. So let's head into the talking point. And the talking point is Kodi Nikorima to the St. George Dragons. The Dragons have just signed Kodi Nikorima from the Dolphins on a 2-year deal. That deal is set to start in 2027. And for the Dragons, this now means they have signed on 6 new recruits for the 2027 season. Those names include Connor Watson, Scott Drinkwater, Keaon Koloamatangi, Luke Metcalf and Phillip Sami, along with Kodi Nikorima. So when you look at the Dragons and look at those 6 signings, plus all the young talent, especially in the forward pack to be coming through, this is an incredibly exciting period, especially for 2027. The head of recruitment, being Daniel Anderson, has done an outstanding job with this Dragons team. If that name is familiar to you, He was the Parramatta head coach back in 2009 with Jared Hayne, Nathan Highmarch, Eric Groth, and all those amazing players. So this will be one to watch for 2027 because they are going full throttle. They want to make the top 8 and want to make the best of this squad. So here's a question for you. Can the Dragons make the top 8 in 2027? And on top of Kodi Nikorima's signing, it is set that John Morris from the West Tigers, assistant coach, is set to join the Dragons and become an assistant coach with Dean Young. For the Dragons, this is truly the start of a new era. So one to watch for Dragons fans, but also for rugby league fans. So with that, let's head into our weekend preview. On Thursday, the 30th of July, Collingwood will take on Geelong at 7:30 at the MCG. That is a massive clash. Collingwood currently sit 8th and Geelong sit 9th. So they are both on the bubble when it comes to that wildcard placings. What this means is we now have 4 rounds, including this one, to go until we get to that finals campaign. So a win for either teams is absolutely crucial going into these final weeks. One to watch for AFL fans. NRL, Sunday the 2nd of August at 4 p.m. The West Tigers will take on the Parramatta Eels. There's no doubt about it. There has been so much that's been said about the West Tigers and in the media. So I'm not going to say anything more. But if the West Tigers want to come out and prove a point, this is the game to do so. And you would also note that from the West Tigers perspective, Jerome Luai will be going up against his new team for 2027, being the Parramatta Eels. So if the West Tigers want to prove a point to Jerome and to the NRL in general, they need to win this game in order to win some pride back with the fans. In the final event of the weekend, it's NRLW, but in particular, it's Magic Round for the NRLW. It's a 2-day event that will be held in Wagga Wagga, 3 games on each day. So there's some blockbuster matchups. Sharks taking on the West Tigers. The Roosters taking on the Dragons. You've got the Broncos taking on the Bulldogs. Cowboys against the Raiders. Titans against the Warriors. Titans are going really well at this point. And Knights, who unfortunately have Yasmin Meeks, their captain, out through an ACL injury in a massive blow, they will take on the Parramatta Eels. So that's one to watch. If you're an NRL fan or an NRLW fan, Magic Round, Wagga Wagga, what a time. So that is your sports week sorted. So enjoy the weekend and I'll be back next week with a full wrap from the weekend in sport. So until then, follow the Sports Playbook wherever you get your podcasts and follow us on social media. Thank you for tuning in and we will catch you on the next episode.